So I'm the coordinator of music education. Really appreciate you joining me today as well. I have a student right now, Ava is one of our students at Loyola. And I'm thinking that we might have another one or two other students join us here shortly because I feel that they really bring a lot to these type sessions to kind of inform you and let you know just their own experiences as students in our program. Um, I, usually we would do this type session on campus at school and in the college, and we have usually have a number of in-person audition days. However, as you know, with this situation with the pandemic and COVID and everything, pretty much any type of on-campus visits have been kind of restricted this whole year. I just heard recently that our admissions department will shortly begin again, actually visits to campus and opportunities to do things on campus as far as admissions. But that's been really restricted for health reasons, and I understand that. Hope you do as well. But as a result, I did want to have an opportunity to kind of share information about our program, also share some of the things that we're doing right now, and then open it up for questions to see whatever questions you may have. And we'll try to help as much as I can. And I know the students that will be here also will help to kind of answer your questions. So I'm going to share my screen to kind of turn over to what I'll use to kind of share some of the information that I have. And so as I do that, basically just using a PowerPoint here to kind of share information about our own program here at Loyola. And so basically I'll kind of give an overview of our program, talk about the curriculum as far as the courses that the students take as they go through our program requirements. We have a collegiate chapter. It's a National Association for Music Education chapter that is a professional chapter that's tied into the national organization for music education. As well, share a little bit about some of our alumni, and then see what questions you may have as we kind of bring things towards a close. But we have a very comprehensive program, a program that is a 4-year program that at the conclusion of the students will earn a certificate from the Louisiana Department of Education that qualifies them then to teach in the schools and have a license to teach. The program is a full program that gives broad backgrounds in many different areas. It's, I think, quite complex and dense, but it is, I think, rewarding to kind of give them the education, training, and background as to what they would need as they enter the field of music education. We have at Loyola, no matter what degree program you're in, whether it's music education or another program, we're considered a liberal arts institution. So everyone that comes through our program, as well as any other program, would take a core curriculum. And those courses generally include philosophy, religion, English, history, math, and science as well. Those different areas of study, those different disciplines also are required through the Department of Education in any kind of education degree. And so we basically work that students will take some of those classes each semester that they're at Loyola in the program. And by the time they finish their program in their senior year, then they would have completed all the requirements for Loyola as far as this core curriculum, but then as well meet the requirements for the Department of Education for the education degrees that they will certify and accredit within the 4 years that they're at Loyola. And so the other part is musicianship. Generally, everyone that comes into music, they come from an area of loving music, of making music, of having really good experiences in their own school music programs. And so we want that to continue as you enter our music education program, in which, as part of the curriculum, as far as musicianship, they will continue to study whether they're a vocalist or an instrumentalist. They will continue studying on that voice or instrument. They will be in a variety of different ensembles throughout their 4 years here at Loyola. They will also be in what we consider studio classes tied into their primary instrument or voice. in which they will work with others in that field. So, and as well, that's mixed in with students in other majors, from performance majors to I think in some cases even music industry, in other areas that you get to work with a professor, your own studio professor or your applied professor, and get to really kind of develop your skills and talents. We want you to continue to develop your talents on your voice or instrument. As part of that, like I said, there's a variety of ensembles, from a couple different string orchestra and full orchestras, chamber orchestra, wind ensemble, band, and a variety of instrumental ensembles. And so, as well as jazz ensemble, there's about 3 or 4 different jazz ensembles of varying sizes and levels that your son or daughter can take part in and participate through the time that they're here. And they're in the same groups and the same ensembles as any other major here in the college, in the School of Music. So in some cases, if we have some very talented and very kind of motivated persons in our music education program, many times they could be seated at the top chair or be the principal chair within those ensembles. So we have some very strong and talented musicians in our music education program. In addition, they would take several semesters of music theory. If you've had that in high school, this will be a much more advanced curriculum than what you've taken even in AP theory in high school. As well, we'll have several levels of music history that you would take, orchestration, which has to do with arranging for different instruments and voice in different types of ensemble settings. And then history of jazz and modern arranging type classes. And then as well, conducting, instrumental, and also choral conducting, a more advanced level of that. So those are some of the musician type classes that you would take over the time that you're here. As far as music education and education, there's a few kind of purely education type classes that the student takes. One is a multicultural education class. There's another called teaching reading in the content area that all students in whatever education field that they're in or degree they're in across the state need to take. And then a psychology of teaching music class that kind of delves into the psychology of actually teaching and learning, classroom management, lesson planning, rehearsal, scheduling and planning as well. And then whether voice or wind instrument or string instrument, everyone will be taking vocal, brass, woodwind, percussion methods, and also pedagogy type classes, and then have the opportunity to apply that through teaching pedagogy and a teaching methods class, which is a laboratory type class, and real classroom teaching out in the schools through clinical teaching experience. And then as well, getting out into the schools, it's been a little more restricted because of COVID and what we're dealing with at this time. But generally, early on throughout your career here at Loyola, you would participate and actually be out in the schools. Really, actually, all of these people that are in this photo right now, this is a little dated, these are a little dated, but all of these people are actually teachers now. These are all music teachers in the school, but these are pictures from back whenever they were at Loyola, in which we had practicums and so forth, in which they were actually out in the schools teaching and working. So these are actually live photos from what these students had done with their time at Loyola. And then as well, again, a few more photos. Again, a couple more people that are actually teachers now. The gentleman on the left actually is teaching in Colorado. I believe the young lady on the right is also in Colorado now. They're both teaching. But these are basically photos of them in the schools here in Loyola or in New Orleans. And then I'm going to kind of shift gears here for a moment, kind of bring up a couple other things to show you a few excerpts. These are actually some of our what we call student teachers, or now we call them teaching residents, in which they're actually in the schools. This is one of our student teachers right now. This is just from a week or so ago, just her working in the classroom.
Does it sound most closely to, so is it moderately or medium? Moderately, right? So if you hear moderately, you think moderato, right? So medium. So what are we gonna do when we hear moderato? Jump. And what about andante? Oh, walk. Or march, sure. Andante. andante. And then moderato. We're gonna jump. Awesome. We got two more. So this next one is allegro. Say
And that's
allegro.
Stephanie. She's currently doing kind of a middle school type program, and actually just, as you can see, had a general music class there that she was teaching. Here's another student teacher. This is Joey. He's actually at a school outside of New Orleans up in Slidell, just running a jazz ensemble rehearsal.
Can I do one thing with trombone? Yeah, trombone. Far not.
That's actually his mentor teacher chiming in.
With our rhythm section friends over there, I feel like sometimes we want to start closer. We're not like spread out on opposite sides, but a lot of times we end up getting centered on, okay, I gotta play my notes and whatever. A few times y'all got a little idea going, and you played it again. You played the same dynamic, and you bring up the dynamic, bring a little more. What's really fun about this is when you have drummer, bass, piano, some guitar, you start digging into the line a little bit.
He's talking about improvisation with the students right now.
It's going to start jamming, then all of a sudden, we can have this huge, big thing happen with the solo, and then all of a sudden, we have a nice, beautiful trombone solo that just sounds gorgeous, high register, really soft, and the rhythm just drops out. It's really exciting. Ryan, when I don't know, did you go to a C or a, yeah, went up to a high C, and I was like, that's really exciting. And he put, we're going to go a little faster, just a little bit. Yeah, do that. Ready? And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
And then this is Sierra. She's actually at an elementary school nearby, and these are actually, they're kind of out of view on the camera here, but we have some pre-K students here that she's working with.
Magic statue.
No, even magic statues have to stop. Have to stand very, very still. Don't move now and maybe.
Like Lillian Case.
But now there's an itch on your chin. Scratch it and make a grin. Let's play a statue game. No one
Magic statues
you
don't
can
stay
clap or
still.
jump or hop, but when I say statue, you stop. Have to stand very, very still. Don't move now and
And then just one last one, again, another, this is at a high school, another high school in the area. This is Brett, and he's actually as well, he's doing a jazz ensemble rehearsal. He also does band and so forth, but in this case, he's doing some improvisation and teaching about playing the blues.
This is the form for the solo section of the tune we're working on. So let's just play this form and just play the roots of each of the chord, all right? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. for the S7 chord? FAC. What about for B flat 7? E flat D F. What about G minor? G B flat C. It's a minor triad this time. C7? All right, good. So for y'all, that would.
And so those are just a very short couple examples, some different clips to kind of show that besides you doing the coursework and doing the things in, on campus and what we do in the classroom, we also are for us, it's very important that we get you out into the schools and get you engaged and involved and get you into the role as the teacher, as the director, so that you start to get the experience, you start to polish your own teaching skills, and you start to do the things that we want you to do to be successful. And so as part of some other requirements that we have, there are program requirements that will help you as you go through the program to prepare you, but as well kind of submit for licensure so that you will get a license to teach music. These are requirements. Every state has some requirements that are part of the program towards licensure. You may, I would think that you've probably taken the ACT or SAT, so we would take those scores. There's something called a praxis exam, which is in a lot of ways aligned with the ACT and SAT. However, these are national teacher exams that there's several different types of exams, a music content area that kind of tests you on everything that you'll take at Loyola through our music programs. And then as well, principles of learning and teaching, that you'll learn those types of things and do those types of things through our education and music education type courses at Loyola. But these are actually national standardized exams conducted by the Educational Testing Services that you would complete. We would assemble your scores and everything from those different types of exams, and then we would submit those to the Department of Education in your senior year towards getting a license for you to be able to teach. So those are some program requirements that are not necessarily tied in directly to courses, but they are in the sense that all the different courses that you're going to be taking will kind of be gearing towards preparing you for those exams, and then as well for a career in teaching and music education. One more thing I'll kind of touch on here briefly, and we may come back to this a little bit later. We do have a professional music education organization. It's the National Association for Music Education Collegiate Chapter. Actually, Ava is one of the officers for that organization, and we've been kind of a little restricted with COVID this year, but these photos are actually an example of one of the events that they host for elementary kids throughout the whole region, our petting zoo, which kind of introduces students to the voice, to the instruments, and gets them as well to kind of play. We're not necessarily doing all of this year because of COVID, but these are kinds of activities that organization does as well. They go to the state, state professional development conferences that exist and different things throughout the year. And then just as far as alumni, here's just a couple alumni, a very few. And as well, I've just kind of put a list here of some of the places. There's actually many more places across the country that our graduates teach, and they're now music educators. Just across Louisiana, from Baton Rouge to Lafayette to New Orleans. We have some in Texas, Boston, up in the Boston area, Massachusetts and Connecticut, Philadelphia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. And then out west, we have up in Kansas, and then Las Vegas, and then up in Washington State and some other places. Those are just a few. So whether you're coming here from in Louisiana or out of state, then we will prepare you to kind of earn that degree, and then earn the license, and then be prepared to teach. And our goal is we want to kind of give you the experiences that are going to prepare you to be successful for whatever program or whatever area you want to go into, and then be able to excel at that. And so that's kind of the things that I wanted to share here today. I'm going to turn it over to Ava. Is anyone else here, Ava, than you this morning? I'm not sure, but I'll turn it over to Ava. Do you have anything to add or anything to say, Ava?
I'm just really excited that there are people, interested in the program. Do you guys have any questions about the program or about what it's like being in,
I have a question as a parent.
Sure.
So we're from Philadelphia. Our son is actually away this weekend. He's on, but not with his video. This is not a marching band area, but and all the schools he's applied to have very strong marching band traditions, except for Loyola. I saw that some students, very few, sometimes join the Tulane marching band. Is that something that is easy to do? And why don't more students take advantage of that?
I actually know a lot of students who are on Tulane Marching Band. A good number of even just our program itself, just music ed as its own thing. A lot of our students have been in the marching band. So I don't think it's that uncommon, and it's not a hard thing to get into. And if you want to do that, it is very easy for you to do that. So yeah.
I can add in that we don't have a marching band because obviously we don't have a football team. So,
Football team.
but we have a university right next door to us. It's Tulane University. And we kind of share a lot of the things that we have at both our campuses and university. They obviously have a football team and a marching band. And that's generally how it works, is that if there's students that come here that want to partake and do that, then it's very easy for them to do that. We have a consortium between the two universities that basically I, as the coordinator and as well many times the advisor, will kind of help them to kind of get signed up for that. And then basically they go to all the classes for that. They go to the football games. They go to during this time of year, usually we would have a lot of parades with Mardi Gras. We don't have that this year, but they participate just like a usual student. And as Ava said, we have a number of students throughout our college that do that. And I think they're very active. The reason where there might be students that may not do it is just because their schedules get full
Yeah.
with the things that they're doing, and probably there's students that maybe in their freshman and sophomore years will be involved heavily with it, but then as they're getting more towards graduation, more fulfilling requirements towards graduation, then they want to make sure they kind of focus in on that, and then they probably wouldn't do that as much. But is there anything else, Ava?
No, you pretty much covered everything.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, considering that we're in a pandemic, right? I just want to have an idea, right? Like, how the classes would be, if it would actually start, like what would be.
So it depends on each class. So each teacher basically gets to decide how they do it. So some of my classes are completely online if they can go online, which is most of my, academic classes are going to be online if they can. We also have a high flex, which is a hybrid flexible schedule. So that can also mean a couple different things. Some of them are, your group A, you come on Monday, your group B, you come on Wednesday. And then you just kind of go back and forth between going in and out. And then some of them, it's just, we don't know how everything's going right now, so let's just go online. Or this person might have emailed me that they have symptoms, so now we're just going to go online. But it's been very flexible with trying to navigate everything. Ensembles are a little tricky, obviously, because of aerosols and all of that, but we've been there's a lot of mitigation procedures that we've been putting in place, and Erica just joined us. We have been teaching a class last semester and this semester that we've kind of had to navigate that as student teachers. So it's been, we're always making sure that everybody's following all of the mitigation that they need to keep everybody safe.
And that is cross campus pretty much. The mitigation and the distancing and everything has been very stringently adhered to here in New Orleans. As well within the city health regulations somewhat as well govern what we do at the university. And I know that at Loyola, we've had very, very low rate as far as any infection I think just because we've tried to follow so heavily what the what the requirements are. However, as a faculty member, right now I know I just submitted our courses for the fall. We're in the process of putting together our course schedule for the fall for students that will register, in the next month here. But we have to get that all up online first, get that all secure. And I know that the attempts are now to kind of return fully in person in the fall, so that should you come to Loyola, then the plan is that we would be back in person. And under those circumstances, typically, all our classes are meeting in person. You'll have regular ensemble experiences like students have had here in the past, or with, full band or choir, orchestra, whatever. And then as well, as far as classes, like the class Ava just mentioned, where she's teaching, and actually Erica's teaching. I'm not usually up in front of the class. It's both of them that are up in front of the class, kind of leading the class and teaching the class. So as well, they, as the teacher, are to helping to kind of keep distance between students, and they're playing instruments and singing within those classes. So they're taking on that responsibility as far as teaching the class in that regard. So I hope that helps, AJ. Anything else?
Hey, thank you.
Yep.
Question.
Anything else?
How many students per year are music education majors in general?
We have within our program about 50 students. That's kind of varied in the past year or so with COVID and everything, but generally we have between 50 and above that as far as students in our program. The students that are in our program are some programs across the country. Actually, they have their program set up that like their junior year, then they'll kind of decide whether they want to pursue music education and kind of may have to be admitted to it. But in our program, it starts in your freshman year. So as they come in, then they're programmed and take part in things throughout the 4 years that they're here.
I'm just trying to get a sense of the size of the whole music program.
Yeah.
Like about how many students are in music in general at Loyola, would you say?
Well, it's hard to give you the specific answer, because right now with COVID, it's been crazy because we're not getting to kind of meet and talk with administrators and things that like we usually do. But I know within our university, our College of Music and Media is probably one of the largest within the university. We usually would have about 500 or 600 music students within the College of Music and Media, and that includes music education, music performance, and music industry, and other degree programs. So I don't know if that helps or not, but I'm trying to kind of give you some sense as to our program. Can you two add anything more, either of you?
Erica, you want to go first?
Of course I do.
Okay, Erica's going to speak.
I sure am. So I was a transfer student to Loyola, and I actually went to one of the community colleges here first to get, core classes out of the way. And when I transferred into Loyola, it was like 3 years ago. And literally everybody is so nice. Like you walk into the music building, everybody's just like, "Hi!" And it's like, "Wow, this is this is fun." And for music ed, like Ava is literally my best friend. Like the two of us have gone through this program together for now 3 years. And, I know for a fact that once we go into the field that we have each other still. And that's exciting for me. I have friends that have graduated in the past 2 years, and I'm in contact with them to see how they're doing and what they're doing in terms of education. And like you use your you network more or less when it comes to being in the music program. So not just with education, but also with like performers and with, therapy and literally just like everything, having that wide array of people is a really important thing to have. But as Dr. McClellan was saying, because of COVID, it is not very easy to gauge like who is really here and who is not, because for the most part it's the underclassmen that are on campus, as the upperclassmen like juniors and seniors have to live off campus. That was a university rule, um, just to help with mitigation and stuff like that, so they can prioritize the underclassmen. And it's been different for sure, but for the most part, I would say that I mean, like we're still getting along really well. Like the last incoming class that we had, the freshman class, that Ava and I are peer teaching, we see them at least twice a week, and they're amazing. Um, it's just like I said, it's just really fun to be around people in general. But I hope that also helped.
It's also just if the size of the program itself and the size of your classes are not always going to be the same. And especially in those first 2 years of like freshman and sophomore year, you're with a lot of other types of music majors because you're taking a lot of the introductory courses. Like music theory 1 is going to be pretty much every type of music major, from music therapy to music industry to music, business. But it's still pretty small. Like we still get a pretty small class size where all of your teachers know who you are, and they'll make sure that they're going to give you the amount of help that you need, and that you're not going to fail. If you don't want to fail, you will not at Loyola. Your teachers will not let you. They'll track you down and make sure that you're not going to fail.
Communication with your professors, top notch. Let me tell you.
Can't beat it.
Literally my favorite thing.
If I missed a class freshman year, that wasn't like me, and my teachers would be like, "Are you okay?" But they care about you. They love you. Your teachers will love you if you show up.
Even if you don't, they still care.
Even if you don't. But go to class. Always go to class. Any other questions?
The actual deadline for international students is in June.
Dr. McClellan?
I'm actually not quite sure of that. If that's the information that you've gotten from admissions, then I would go with that. I know that right now with February and March, admissions is working to kind of get information that sometimes has been held up because of COVID and so forth. So they're trying to be in touch with you as students and parents. But as well with international students, I know it's typically a little bit later in the fall, in the spring here, with probably towards June, like you said.
Okay.
Do either two of you want to share anything about our NAFME chapter, or anything else, or about the college or the university as well? I mean, we could try to help to answer questions about the university or our college or the dorms, anything.
I mean, if you just want to get to know me, that's okay too. I'm not opposed.
Would you say that jazz is a huge part of the program, and that's one of the reasons that students might choose Loyola over other schools?
100%. Oh my goodness. So, Gordon Towell is the director of our jazz department. Literally so good. For the past forever. When we're not in Corona, the top jazz band will play in the Jazz Fest here in New Orleans. And I mean, if that's not cool, like, I don't know what is, because that's literally so cool. I mean, as a musician, you get the chance to literally go out there and perform. I mean, you are the jazz. You are part of the culture in this sense. And that is so cool. It's just, I'm obviously I'm very passionate about this. But for sure, there's so many people that come here specifically because of the scene, because of, this is like a musician's paradise. And when you think about it like that, especially for like brass musicians, if you go out in the quarter, you will find a gig. You can literally just start playing and people are like, okay, okay, it's time to party. And it is like music here is so alive because, jazz is Black American music. And as, New Orleans is, a hub for African American people, it's going to have more of that influence in that music too. So being able to like show that within our school is definitely something that is different compared to like if you go to Texas or something like that. Even like to Mississippi, I mean, jazz in itself is going to have a different flavor wherever you go because of, think like these are the Cajun spices that we're putting into it. So it's like this is what's going to make it that extra flavor, and people come here specifically to get that flavor. It doesn't
Well,
like,
Thank
yeah.
you. Your enthusiasm is amazing.
But let me kind of build off of what Erica's saying too, in that this is kind of the birthplace of jazz, and this is where the jazz idiom and the genre and the culture exists. But there's other kinds of music's here too, and so within our college, students within the college could get any kind of gig or any kind of job within the city. She's relating to jazz, but there's many different musics across the city that students within our college, obviously they're going to be in our programs and to do the things that they do within our ensembles, but as well, many of them are out in the community and they're gigging regularly and they're performing, and that could be throughout the week, but as well on the weekends. The French Quarter as well is a huge place to kind of go for jazz and different types of music. So I sent you a couple flyers through the chat room here on this Zoom meeting. I don't know if you can access them or if you receive them, but as well, if you can't, then I can work to email them to you. One is kind of just a brochure about our music education program. As well, we have a regular music education lecture series throughout the year, and that's just the schedule for the spring here. So I wanted to share that with you so you could kind of see some of the, get us a little bit of reading materials as far as our program and some of the things that we do. And we have guests coming in all the time from different parts around the country, and guest speakers and pedagogues and so forth as well throughout our college. We'll have guest artists come in and teach different classes and do different workshops and stuff. So it's a very active place. With COVID, it's just been a little bit of a strange year, just with everyone, that we typically aren't having those opportunities as much, but we'll still through Zoom and other interfaces work to do that, to bring in guests. So I wanted to share that with you as well. So if you didn't get it, let me know, but I sent that to you here through the chat room. So
would you say that student teaching opportunities are easily accessible without a car at Loyola?
we have schools around campus here that exist, and again, that whole process, there's a process that we take in doing that. We just don't like throw you anywhere, but actually I will probably, as the coordinator, meet with you several times to kind of get you set to a particular place. But I'll talk with you. I'll try to find out if you have a car. If you don't, I'll try to see what your interests are as well, depending on what you do throughout our program leading up to that. Then we'll talk about, what's a good place. And then we'll probably set up some meetings that you can meet and talk with the potential cooperating teacher. And then we'll work to get you placed in a good place that you want to be, and that you'll do well and you'll grow. So that's the process we'll kind of go through whenever we get to that point. Okay.
There's a lot of schools that are within walking distance of Loyola. And I think in your first music ed, like introduction course, we walked to one of the schools together, like as a class. You probably didn't do that this year because of COVID, Dr. McClellan?
No, we didn't.
Yeah. But typically, you can walk to places and you do. And it is a place that you walk by anyway when you just live here because you want to walk, when you're walking around, it's pretty much a straight shot down the street that Loyola's on. So you can definitely figure it out. It's not the hardest thing to find schools that are easily accessible to where you are.
Piggybacking off of that, because Loyola is off of St. Charles, there is the what's it called, streetcar, and that is like, I mean, everybody uses a streetcar to get back and forth. Yeah. So I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, and I'm trying to think. There's literally schools off of St. Charles. I can't remember the one that's like right off of Jefferson. By yeah, there's that one, and then there's obviously Holy Cross. There's Lusher. There's like 2 Lushers really, and there's at least like, I wouldn't say like 7 schools that you can 100% like walk to within that area, and they're of different levels. So not everything is going to be like elementary or middle school or high school. Like, it gives you the opportunity to have a different experience with the different ages, because that's going to be necessary to have too.
Any last question as we work to bring things to a close? Again, very much appreciate you joining us this morning. I'll put my email address up here if you have any questions as well. I've been emailing you a couple times here, so if something comes up and you have a question, feel free to email me. But again, appreciate you joining us this morning. Okay. So we'll bring it to a close. And again, thank you for being here, and we'll look forward to being in touch. Have a good day.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Bye.